This about the time when I was a young teenager. I was in Air Valley Senior High School. I was prompt by the then Celine Pinlan and Sharek Morris because I was a Miss Grandstown. Yes, to be Miss Grandstown means you had to win a beauty contest. Yes, you had to win a beauty contest. During those times, the beauty contest was mostly held at Ronnie's Rebel Room. Ronnie's Rebel Room. That was right on Nassau Street North, where Ronnie's Rebel Room was. Okay? And this was the first time junior achievers ever came to the Bahamas. So I am always a person who take very good advice. And I did join the junior achievers. They were telling me the junior achievers is gonna start at Blue Hill Road BEC. Back then, the only two BEC I knew was Blue Hill Road and Clifton Pier. That's the only two was around in Nassau that I knew of. Okay, this was in the late 70s. So I joined. It became about eight of us in that junior achievers. We were, listen to me carefully, we were the first ever junior achievers. Because I was, believe it or not, influential in my Grantstown constituency, um, I prompt one of the young ladies who was able to come to join me to join um, the Bahamas Junior Achievement. My own sister didn't. She didn't like to be involved too much. And most of the other people I asked in my neighborhoods, they didn't. Because you remember now, back then people were still very poor and struggling. And a lot of siblings, younger siblings, when you reach a teenage years, you had to always go mind kids and do chores and all of that. So they didn't have the time to join these groups. And then not only that, you know, parents didn't have no transportation like that to talk about. Oh, you could pick them up in the night from places. We could have walked in the night back then. Young ladies still could have walked in the night without people trying to molest with them in the road. And if young men see you walking in the road, they will automatically hail you. But the hail wasn't just a hail. The hail was a hail as if it's saying, I see you and I will protect you. That's what most of the hail used to be. So when you walk the road and a young man hail you back then, because you out in the night coming home from somewhere positive. Of course, you come in a healthy time, like maybe 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, you're just coming home and it's already nightfall because, daylight saving time and all that change and all that. Or, when it changed to your night come quick, you coming home in the night. When you walk in the road, young men see you, they will say, hey, 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 be careful now. Good night, young ladies. To let you know, that's like letting you know they saw you and they watching you. And if something pop off, they are there to protect you. And they don't know you from the man in the moon and they never see you. That's how it really was back then. So it was safe for young ladies to walk home 8 o'clock in the night, 7 o'clock in the night, 9 o'clock in the night. It was safe. It was safe. And so the first ever Junior Achievers name was Power Unlimited. Power Unlimited. It was sponsored by BEC Blue Hill Road. Okay? So we used to have to meet there after school. And guess what? They will give us positive talks about how we should. And we had men. We did not know women. We had men dealing with us. We did not know woman dealing with us. And we have to remember men are leaders. A lot of women take on those roles now because my opinion is, as a black woman, that a lot of our men has dropped the ball. They has dropped the ball. They has let us down in a way. Now, I didn't say all. I say some, majority of our men has dropped the ball. But back then, the men were the leaders. And if some men a man speaks, if some men a man speaks, you pay more attention. That's right. You pay more attention. You don't even realize it. And they taught us, men, I'm talking about men, how you carry yourself as a young lady and young man, because we had young men in our group. It was only but 8 of us, but we had young men in our group. And look here, they taught us how to make light lamps from scratch, how to hook up the cords, young children. And look here, they opened about 2 or 3 months later, a few more, about 4 or 5 more, it was about 5 more junior achievers throughout the other parts of the island back then. And they allowed all the junior achievers to come together at the end of at certain points, and they had a pizza night. And all the junior achievers from all the other areas come together, so you get to meet um, other people from other areas. And I was the only one of all them. All together is a good, must be about 50, 60 us from all the other areas. And out of all of them, I was the only one could not eat the pizza. I had plenty allergies because back then I still used to have asthma. And so the cheese was a problem. And also that was the first time I've ever eaten pizza. Never had pizza before. Didn't even know how it looked. Because, when you come from poor, you don't have the luxury. Little things like that. You don't have the luxury. And you never see it before. And when I tasted, it wasn't all of that to me because I had taste bud problems back then. Yeah, you know how little babies have to develop their taste buds? Well, that's how it is. Especially when you tasting things for the first time. It don't always will be for the first time something you like. But as time progress, it will become maybe something you like as your taste bud develop. Like I was like that. And so I didn't like it. I didn't eat it. I was fine because once I had the drink, I was all right. So um one of the leaders say, that's amazing. You're the only one who, I say I don't want to be sick and it don't taste good to me. And so that means I'm not gonna eat it. Yeah, you have to stand your grounds. You can't make people let you eat what you can or do what you want to do, even in small circumstances. But you explain yourself so they could be aware of your situation. And we had a great night, a great fellowship night with a lot of young people your age. And that's important for the young people today. That's why you see a lot of them gather up together or trying to go. It's like a fellowship. They need to be among their peers. Old people the same way. Some old people glad to be in those little programs for old people who retired because they need to be in their peers. It's important to be in their peers, you know. Well, in junior achievements, we end up having a competition at the close of that year, the first year of the junior achievement. The competition began in the middle of it where we made these lamps as entrepreneurs, because they teach you how to be entrepreneurs, and you sell these lamps. Anything you created, whatever group created, and they sell lamp. And so it's a competition between the various different junior achievers. Well, voila. Who you think win the crown? Power Unlimited. Why? We made plenty lamps, and the rest of people in the groups couldn't hardly sell the lamps because they didn't have that much drive, but they ran out trying, and they was kind of shy and didn't know how to really talk and all of those things. But that's the reason for it. It opened you up to want to talk, want to be that salesperson. Well, it's a lady who joined with me. Her name was Zena Beth McPhee. That's the person who I got encouraged to join with me. So we were like a tag team. We used to meet after school to go to Junior Achievers together. And when Junior Achievers over, we walked together. She was living through John Street off Market Street, and I was living in the Valley Corner. So I had to go like about another, 10 corners back down. So I had a little more ways to go than her. But we used to come home together. We used to come home together, and I'll walk, and she will go home, and then I'll go to my house. And never no problem. Never no problem with people trying to do the wrong things like that to you. Well, we used to meet Zenabed was tag team because you go in twos for safety, and that's better too. That's the way you do it. And we used to get the lamp sell. We used to be all about. We used to walk over Price Island. We used to. When you're young, you can do things. That is the reason why you're doing things when you're young. You have so much energy. And so the young people need to be able to bring off that energy, and that's why they need to be involved. You see? And we get all our lamp sell, bring the money back, and they was like, y'all get the lamps, y'all carry sell. We had the tree, we get the tree sell. So we had to end up selling all the rest of the lamps for the junior achievers in our thing because none of them could get the lamp sale unless their parent to buy one. And they had to make more lamps. And every lamp they make, we sell. We sell because when the people understood, we used to always introduce ourselves. We went to corporate offices. Yes. And yes, I was the spokesman. We introduced ourselves. I would introduce me and her as junior achievers, our name, and what our purpose was there for. And if it's there anybody, oh child, I was the businesswoman back then. I am telling you. We used to get our stuff sold. They used to tell us they used to put an order, so we used to have to go make to get up to the altar the order because what happened now is we end up selling more than we had bargained for. They had to end up buying more stuff for us to make it just to meet the orders. And of course, Power Unlimited win the crown. Nobody could have compared to us. We were so dominating over the amount of lamps that we sell. No one could have compared to us, you know. But back then they never had no trophy to give out, no certificate to give out, no scholarship to give out, or none of them. What they maybe I do nowadays, no recognition. That was to getting together and to letting everybody know who company win like that, and that was it. It was no like a graduating ceremony from junior achievers or nothing like that. So it's progressed a lot over the years, but that's where it started from. The first ever Junior Achievers Company, Power Unlimited. And in our company, we were the only two, you call it ghetto girls. Let me get it to the chase, cut to the chase, the two ghetto girls. Everybody else was from, we call it back then rich family. We see you because that's how, through our eyesight, you were, we had people who live in those west. Big swimming pool who was in our group was only but 8 of them, but all of them came from immaculate homes, you know, immaculate homes and immaculate areas, big time homes, big time areas. That's how we see it, okay? Because, we were the poor children. We were from the poor homes, you know, and we didn't have the opportunity to meet people from those type homes and stuff, you know. And so we had to make our mark on the group, and we did. We had to make our mark on the group. We were, and they never say, "Oh, this is the number one team leader," or nothing of that sort. Everyone's considered equal in that group. Everyone was considered equal. Um, Back then, one of the persons, the particular one who was from Old West, um, they had their children in the group, but um, after a while, the person dropped out, I guess. I asked when I saw them, I said, why are you dropping out of the group? I said, I ain't coming back to you. I said, why? Oh, my parents don't want me in the group any longer. Okay, back then you didn't think none of it, but you're looking back, they think, poor children in the group, some people don't want their children mixing up with you when you're too poor, don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. The reality, when you get older and you look back and you sit down and you analyze certain situation, you come to terms with the reality of what you feel as a young person, and oh, that's what take place, or that's your opinion of what take place. You understand me? No love lost. But that was the first ever junior achievement group. That group was Power Unlimited. Power Unlimited, sponsored by BEC, Blue Hill Road. Yes. And I was one of the founding, participants in the first ever. And yes, our group, the ones that did stayed, we only had one person from way back then who I know for a fact didn't turn out too well. Um, she came from a nice home, very, very well off home out east, but she had fallen by the wayside because of drugs and addiction. But she had a beautiful life, but the problems after being married and the this and the that had taken its toll. And that's the only person I knew who did well in their life. Everybody else from that junior achievement club has, we have a doctor, he has his own, you know, doctor office from way back for over 30 years now. Zena Bed, her and her husbands they are, Christian leaders, like missionaries, and stuff like that. And they have been successful in that field, you know, and everybody has rised up and tried to make a good name for themselves. So it is worth it a million times to have joined, you call it civic organization, to be involved, because they encouraged good development and positivity. You know, they encourage the good development and positivity. So, yes, I would encourage young people to get out and get involved in civic organization and move away from the negativity that is going on, you know, move away from those type things. Try be around positive people, going positive, doing positive things, and going positive places, you know. And so that's my little speech about being involved in the Junior Achievers program. First ever Junior Achievers um, program came to the Bahamas. Okay? Over and out.